All right, folks, we're back. It's our first day of the unit, and we're talking about graphing linear inequalities. So we're talking about graphing a line and then shading half of that line, or shading half of a graph to represent where your solutions are. So we're going to get started. This is actually your homework. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start in the notes. I'm going to go over the highlighted ones, and then it's your job to fill in the rest to kind of to give it a try, see how you're doing on it, and ask me questions. All right. So we're just going to get started here. So we have x is less than 6, so we're saying that any solution will work for this as long as it's less than 6. So we're going to come over to our number line, and we're going to start off. I'm going to have you, every time we do this, I'm going to have you put 3 numbers on the number line. So I'll put 6 in the middle, and we'll go 7, and then we'll go 1 down. So 1 up and 1 down, and then it's an open circle because there's no line under it. And we're saying that x is less than 6, so any value of x less than 6, so we're going to shade going this way, okay? All right, so our second one, x is greater than 5, so we're going to start off at 5. We're going to go 6 and 4, so 1 up and 1 down from our center number. And it's, again, an open circle because there's no line under it. There's no equal to sign under it. And it says x is greater than 5, so we're going to shade where it's greater than 5. So we're shading where the solutions are, okay? So our last one that I'm going to work with you guys on, actually, no, I'm going to skip this one, and we're going to do number 4 because it's an and. It's really similar to 6. Okay, so we're going to start off now. We have a couple of points on here. So we're going to start off with -7. And then we'll start off with 0 over here. And it says that the values of x are in between. They're greater than -7 and they're less than 0. So greater than or equal to -7. So this one is a closed circle. This one is an open circle. And we're shading in between. Okay? All right, so let's head on down here. Okay, so what if you don't have a number line? Like, how do you tell if this is a solution, all right? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to substitute in, which is what we practiced in the last unit where we're solving systems of equations. We practiced a lot of substitution. It's really similar to this. If this is x and -10 is x, then we can substitute -10 in for x. Okay, -4, and it's less than or equal to -28. Okay, so we're simplifying this portion of the equation, so we have 6 times -10 is -60, -4 is less than or equal to -28, and then -60 minus 4, so they're all negative, so we're combining all our negatives together to get -64 is less than or equal to -28. Okay, and this is a true statement. Yes, okay. It is a part of the solution because it makes the inequality true, okay? -10 makes the inequality true. Okay, so you're gonna head to number 8 and you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna take -1 and you're gonna substitute it in for x, and you're gonna come up with your sentence and tell me if -1 makes this inequality true. Okay, so on to our next steps. Sometimes you have to solve an equation before you can graph it. So in this case, we're going to subtract 9 from both sides, and we end up with x is less than or equal to -2. There's more negatives than positives, so 7 minus 9 is -2. Come over to our number line, and we find -2, and it's an equal to sign, so it's a solid circle. And we have x is less than -2, and we're going to shade that guy in, okay? All right, I know you're gonna have an issue with this one because you have fractions, so I'm gonna leave this one down here, number 14, for you to practice with on your own. I'll show you how to do number 12. You're making a 1 with the 5, so this says x divided by 5. Well, the opposite of division is, that's right, multiplication, so we're gonna multiply both sides by 5, okay? And so we have x is greater than -15 over 10, and that is going to simplify to, we'll divide both by 5. You've got -3 over 2, which equals -1.5. Okay, so we're going to come over here. We've got negative 1.5 on our number line right here. Negative 1.5. And it's an open circle. And we're saying that the values of x are greater than negative 1/2. So we're going to shade this way. Okay. All right, so it's your job to fill in the rest of this page. We're going to go on to the next. Okay. Okay, so what about when we have a graph and I'm saying I give you a bunch of points? So it says for each linear equation, graph and then plot the given points to determine if they are solutions. Okay, so now we're getting into our first equation where we're shading half of our graph. Well, just like in the last chapter when we had a standard form equation, I'm going to have you graph it. I'm going to have you solve for y and graph it. So subtract 3x from both sides, and there's your 0. 2y equals negative 3x plus 12. We're just writing them right next to each other. They're not like terms. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 6. Okay, so now we're ready to graph. Oop, it's not. Oh, it is equals. Okay, so we have positive 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our slope is negative 3 over 2, so we're going to count down 3 and then over 2. Down 3 over 2. Down 3 over 2. Okay. All right, so now we have all these points. We're going to say, is 2, 4 a solution? So we're going to go over 2 and up 4. We're going to graph that point. And we're going to say no. Next one, we're going to say over 3 up 2. And we're going to say no. It's number 4. So we have over 4 and up 0. Wait a minute. That one's on the line. This one's a yes. And then our last one, 0, 6. So we're going to go over 0 and up 6. Guess what? It's on the line. So yes. So the solutions are on the line. Okay. So the solutions are on the line in this case. Okay, that's going to be a little different than when we start actually graphing inequalities. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one for you. Your job is to solve for y, and then graph it, and then graph your points and see what you come up with. See which ones are yes and no, and you can come up and check my key in class. Okay, so what if there's no graph? Well, what you can do is substitute your x and y in for your x and y here and see if it makes the statement true. So we have a negative x plus 6 times y, and I'm leaving spaces open for my x's and y's. So this is our x value, so we're going to substitute it in there. This is our y value, so I'm going to substitute it in there. So I've got 4 plus 6 equals 10. So if you're wondering where I got 4 from, a negative times a negative is positive. So this says 10 equals 10. Is that true? Yes. So negative 4, 1 is a solution. Okay, if it came out to be something that said like 9 equals 10, that would be a no solution. So it's your job to do that here, okay? All right, so now, finally, we are getting to the actual inequality. So all of that is just kind of prep work, showing you how to graph, showing you what to look for in a solution, okay? So our next step here. So we're gonna start off, this is already solved for y, so we can just straight graph it. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And so we're combining our linear equation and an inequality into one problem. And then we're gonna go up 3 and over 1. Well, it's off our graph, so we can kind of estimate it, but then we can turn both of them negative and go down 3 and then negative 1, okay? And just like if there's a line under it or not a line under it, or an equal sign or not an equal to sign under it, it depends on, that determines what type of line you have. So just like an open circle, a line, if there's no equal to sign under it, is dotted. Okay, so we're gonna dot our, it's dashed or dotted, however you wanna call it, all right? So then we're gonna say, well, what is a solution? Does this work? Let's say pick 0, 0. Okay, let's see if 0, 0 is a solution. We're gonna substitute it in here. So 0 is less than 4. Is 0 less than 4? That is true. Okay, so we're going to say this is true. So our next one, we're going to substitute that guy in, and we're going to say, is 4 less than 3 times 0 plus 4. So just be careful on your x's and y. Your x is 0, right? Your y is 4. And we say 4 is less than 4. Well, that's actually false. So we can say that 0, 4 is false. Well, it's on our dotted line, so that actually makes sense. Okay, so if it was a solid line, this would actually be true. But since it's a dotted line and there's no equal to sign under it, that means it's false. So we're going to come down here. We're going to say, is 4, 2 a solution? So 2 is our y value, is less than 3 times 4 plus 4. And so this is 2 is less than 12 plus 4, and 2 is less than 16. 2 is less than 16, so this is true. So we're going to go over and graph 4, 2. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. So this is true. We're going to go down here and we're going to say, is negative 4, 3 a solution? So we're going to say 3 is less than 3 times negative 4 plus 4. So I'm just taking my equation up here, bringing it down, substituting in my x and y values. And we have 3 is less than negative 12 plus 4. 3 is less than negative 8. Is 3 less than negative 8? No, that is false. Okay, so we're going to graph our negative 4, 3. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4 on the negative one, and then positive 3. So on this side, it's false. So anywhere on this side and on the line is false. Anywhere that it's true, any point over here is going to end up being true. So let's take a look. We have negative 3, negative 1. So I want you to predict based on like the information you see here, is this going to be a false or is it going to be true? Okay, so we're going to take our number in and we're going to substitute and we're going to say, is negative 1 is less than 3 times negative 3 plus 4. And so we have negative 1 is less than negative 9 plus 4. And so we can rewrite that as negative 1 is less than negative 5. And negative 1 is not less than negative 5. Negative 1 is larger than negative 5. So this is false. But we kind of knew that already, right? Because we graphed it on this side where the false points were, and then it wasn't on the true side. So we're going to shade the true side. Okay, that's how we come up with like, which side do you shade? If it's true, you shade where the true is. If it's false, you don't shade that side. So where are all the true points? Well, all the true points, in fact, any point below the line is true. And any point above the line is false, okay? All right, let's flip it over. Let's do your homework. Let's do your first problem on your homework, and then you guys are ready to go, ready to give it some effort, okay? So things that I want you to look for in your homework, you are going to, 1, graph. 2, pick test point. 3, shade where it's true.